Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in today for another affirmation conversation. Today, we are talking to Michael Hayes. We just going to refer to him as Mike throughout this conversation. Hey, Mike.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. So Mike reigns from Jacksonville, Florida, but he is tuning in today from his current state of residence, which is Richmond, Virginia. So talk to me about that, Mike. How did you go from Jacksonville, Florida to Richmond, Virginia?
So that's a long journey. So I was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida, with my parents until the age of 13. And then at 13 years old, my parents split. So then I went with my mother to North Carolina, where she's originally from. So I graduated high school from North Carolina. And then I had planned to go to school at the University of South Carolina. And those plans fell through for various reasons. I think we'll probably discuss it, probably come up while we're talking. And then I took a year and I went to Shaw University, a small HBCU in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Nice.
And after a semester there, I was just like, I'm missing something. I need to just get away from the environment I was in. So I called a recruiter and I told him I was ready to go. He ain't even got to recruit me. And then I wound up getting shipped off after basic training to my first duty station of Fort Drum, New York.
I know.
And from Fort Drum, New York, in this last 14 years, I've been to Fort Drum, New York, Baumholder, Germany, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Fort Hood, Texas, Leonard Wood in Missouri.
Wow.
And then Charlottesville, where I'm currently leaving right now to then go back to North Carolina. So I wound up in Richmond because the community that my wife found for my son, who's autistic, she was in love with it. She was in love with the programs that they had. And she asked me how far would I travel? I said an hour, and she picked a house that was an hour. So that's why I've been in Richmond.
Oh, I sure wondered that, but that is really awesome for you to do, to sacrifice that commute for the betterment of your son and your family. So that is a theme that I've noticed with you, is that you are a family man and you definitely make decisions based on family first. And so that
Absolutely.
is admirable. I love that about you. And I've met your wife, Kim, and I could definitely see why you would do that. If y'all don't know, I asked him to give me a mini bio, and he told me first he was a husband, a father, a son, a brother, and a friend. So what stood out to me there is that he is a man who is really relationship based. I thought that was really awesome. He didn't tell me about any of his accolades, any of his accomplishments. He literally just put these titles of all these relationships that he holds with other people, and I thought that was really impressive. And then last, he put Army officer. So that is absolutely phenomenal. 14 years. You're almost there, brother.
Yeah, I'm almost there. I'm in the last quarter, at least, pretty much. 5 years left until who knows what happens.
That's right. Well, I know another promotion is right around that corner. So wait, you just recently got promoted?
No, so our class, it got held up for a long time. So our crew, I shout out the crew, except for one who's already got promoted. That was Quinette.
Oh, yes.
McCoy.
Okay.
The rest of us don't get promoted until August. So
okay, so it's right around the corner. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I knew I was right, but I'm like, wait, am I wrong? Because sometimes I be missing stuff. Well, cool. Yeah. Okay. So that's wonderful. Okay. Well, based on that timeline, they're gonna be dangling another one.
They could dangle, but situation gotta be right.
That's right. Gotta be right. I know that's right. And you're putting a lot of things in place for yourself. So hey, that they got a lot to compete with. So that's wonderful. Well, today we're going to talk about the affirmation, I am blessed. And you are blessed. And a lot of those blessings have a lot to do with, like you said, just finding the right person. And you found that person for you at the very young age of 14. Like,
yeah.
Where? That's crazy.
She wasn't right at that time, but we'll say she's right now.
And maybe she wasn't right, because we do grow.
I wasn't either.
Right, exactly. And we do grow. And you know what? I'm glad that you actually mentioned that, because a lot of people, when they get into these relationships, especially these marriages, they give up on them, really fast, because they expect people to be the same throughout. And it's like, people want to grow, people want to change. And if you're not growing together, then you're growing apart. And I actually like
Agreed.
that you mentioned that, because it's like, I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago when I met my husband, and he's not the same person either, but we have grown together. And I love the person that he is now. I love the person that he was then, but I love him even more now. But had, I picked his flaws and I try to stifle his growth and vice versa, we wouldn't be together today. I mean,
Agreed.
and I really hope that you or your wife ain't the same person you were at 14.
You got some problems then, right? Because it's
Right.
all about growth. It's all about growth. And yeah, I was just blessed to, I mean, when I came in contact with her at 14. So first of all, she's older than me too. So I like to joke and call her a cougar. But she's about a year older than me. And when I came in contact with her, we were really just cool, just friends. And then I guess that progressed pretty quickly because we had our first child when I was 16. Um, and that just was an event that we thought we were ready for, but was an ultimate test of who we were as people. And I'm going to really be honest when I say that I don't know if I could really say then that we will be sitting here now with 3 kids, married, and me 34, her 35 years old, and really just being team players, because that's real big too. Like, we support each other in everything that we do. And that's really the reason I'm able to do what I do, or why she's able to, I would say, do what she does. And we took the approach of learning that we needed to continue to learn who we were, and then in turn be accepting of things that we go through individually, because the change that you go through from 16 years old to 34 years old, or 17 years old to 35 years old, is immense. It's crazy. So you can't expect somebody to have it all together all the time. And once we actually got to understanding that, it really made our bond a lot stronger. So there's mistakes that's been made along the way. Different schools of thought that we had from each other where we weren't together on certain things, but now we understand that, okay, we work together. And I would say the blessed part about that, the thing that's really come into my life that has allowed me to do that is, and I talk about it all the time, is first is God, but also me opening my eyes to understand that I don't got it all together, and being okay with counseling. So like, I go to counseling twice a month. Most people already know this about me. So I
Yeah.
go to counseling twice a month, and I do it even when it's days there's nothing to talk about. Even when there's days I think there's a lot to talk about, because I think it's like preventative maintenance, right? So it's a huge thing. So like, even with leaving where I'm going, when I'm going to North Carolina from Virginia, my current counselor isn't dually licensed. One of the things that was on my checklist was to make sure that I had another counselor. So I've already met with a new one who's dually licensed so that I can continue that. Because sometimes you just need to really talk through things in a space that's non-judgmental. Because even though me and Kim are close, it's always going to be some emotions attached to any conversation you have. And sometimes I just need to work through some things and then bring it back so that I can be the best person when we have those conversations. So that's a blessing right there that I really embraced. And I just think that everybody should as well. And I think we are. It's just, we're not all the way there. We're okay with the going to see somebody if you need to, but I think we need to be getting to the just going to see somebody. It needs to be just a regular thing, because like with your car, you don't get your car serviced when it's already broken down. You get it serviced so it doesn't break down. So in the good times and the bad times, just like people say, go to church and talk to God, you should also be possibly looking and talking to a counselor. So that's been a huge blessing this last 7 years of my marriage with my wife. So just being able to be vulnerable and open up, because being vulnerable in that space allowed me then to transfer that to our relationship and then with our kids.
No, I totally understand. And I am an advocate for counseling. I definitely believe that it is completely okay to open up to a stranger. Some people say, I don't want to tell a stranger my business. Well, you know what? Sometimes you tell people who aren't strangers your business, and then everyone knows your business. So You tell me. You know, like, what would you rather do? Because I would rather tell a stranger my business and no one else knows my business, and then they help me through things, than everyone else know my business.
Yeah.
So, and then, okay, we got to go back to this Kim thing, because, okay, you guys had the baby, you were 16 and then she was 17, and then you decided to go away to college, and then you joined the Army. And then there is this story about this Nextel phone. What happened?
Yes.
Where did you go? You disappeared. You disappeared,
So
and then you called her on a Nextel.
so look, okay, so when I was in Shaw University, this was a period of time that was rocky. So we were poor. And you know, when you actually poor, you don't really think you poor, you know, but then when you look back at it, and we were competing with a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of where You Can Too comes in. And a lot of things I was competing with being that young was social services, housing, those types of things, and then family. And family, of course, looked at me at where I was at that point and was like, you could get so much more if you weren't with him, you know? So when I decided, and that coupled with the fact that I had some regret, I think, by not going away to school. And I think that I channeled that regret to our relationship. So
Right.
it kind of like drew us apart. And I was like, at that time, the emotion I was probably feeling was disappointment and / anger. So I
Right.
was like, you know what, I gotta leave. So we weren't actually even talking at that time. So when I left to go away to the Army, nobody even knew. You know how you had that first call when you get there? I ain't called
Yeah.
nobody. I ain't called
Wow.
nobody. My
And I know
mama
that was
didn't even
hard.
know. My
Wow.
mama didn't even know. I
Wow.
was like, forget all these people. That's how I was feeling. I still remember what song I was listening to the night of, because you know they put you in that hotel, and then the next day
Yes.
you get on the bus.
Yes.
I was listening to Kurt Franklin, "This Is It."
Oh,
Where I was
wow.
like, you can't mess with my mind anymore. I was like, hey, ain't
Yes.
nobody gonna mess with my mind no more. I'm gone.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
I had put in my head that Kim was the reason I was feeling what I was feeling. My mama was the reason I was feeling what I was feeling.
Yeah.
Everybody, yep. And yeah, I was like, I'm gone. And first call, I didn't call nobody. And then I ain't write nobody. I ain't do none of that. And the first person I actually talked to, I don't know if I wrote that in there, but the first person I actually talked to wasn't Kim. It was Kim's mom.
Oh, wow.
I called Kim's mom after some weeks there, and I just asked her how Michael was doing, my daughter. And we just had a conversation about that. Didn't even talk about Kim. And then I don't know if anybody remember, we used to call them the chirps, the beep beeps, the little
Yes.
Nextel phones.
Chirps.
And I had to battle buddy somebody to sitcom at Fort Jackson. And you know, when you battle buddy somebody, you got a little freedom.
Exactly.
So it's just you and them.
I used to be like, I'll take them. I'll go with them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I go with the person, and while they in the back, somebody left. I think it was called the I-730 because it was the silver one.
Oh,
It was the nice silver one. I won't never forget. It was the nice silver one that was color. And I took the phone. I wasn't gonna. Now let's just be clear here. I wasn't about to steal the phone.
There was no larceny. There was a wrongful appropriation.
Yeah,
I have intent to permanently deprive.
Exactly. I just used it right quick.
I could be your lawyer.
See, there we go. I might need one. Because back then you didn't have to you didn't pay if you were Nextel to Nextel.
Exactly.
And I knew Kim had a little Boost. I don't know if you remember them too.
Boost Mobile, honey, yes.
And you know how long numbers used to be. It used to be like 170 star blah 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 star 72. And for some reason, I just remember the number.
Oh.
My wife likes to say it because I was so in love with her. But anyways, I remember the number. And so I chirped, but I didn't know that it was really the number. So I chirped. I said, hey yo, you know back then, hey yo. And she chirps back and she like, who this? Because of course it's just. And I chirped back. I say, this Kim? And she like, yeah, who this? I said, this Mike. And then she was like, where you at? And I was like, I'm down here in Fort Jackson. And she was like, the Army? I was like, yeah, I'm in the Army. And she was like, why you go down there? Blah, blah, blah. We had like a 5 minute conversation. And then we ended it. And I was just like, I'll hit you with the address and I'll write you. So then I went on to write her. And for the first couple of times we write each other, it was really just what I think we failed at in the beginning was getting to know each other as just people. And yeah, we were just talking. It wasn't even in terms of in a relationship or nothing like that. And that's when I truly think I started actually seeing who she was as a person. And I think it was vice versa as well. And it proceeded and went pretty quickly. And then in AIT, towards the end of AIT is when I got married in AIT.
Wow.
So they gave me a 3-day. I'll never forget. They gave me a 3-day. So on that Friday, we went to the courthouse, and then they gave me the weekend. And it's funny because how small the Army is, bringing it back with that. The senior that was there was Sergeant Major Bostic.
No way.
And Sergeant Major Corbin was there as well.
No way.
Yeah. And to kick it off even worse, a crew member was there, Tia Simmons. So
no way.
Yeah. So
wow.
It was funny because then Master Sergeant Bostic was talking to me and was counseling me, and he was like, "You sure you want to do this?
Oh Lord.
You just because I think he thinks that I was just marrying somebody. You know how some people
exactly
do.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had to break it down to him, like, no, I already know her.
Baby.
And he was like, y'all have a baby? And the reason he was so taken aback is because we were so at odds that, you know, when you come in and you have a child, you got to sign that paperwork so that you get the parcel.
None of that.
I ain't get none of that because she ain't want to sign none of that. We wasn't talking. And I was like, yeah, I actually got a baby. And he was like, oh, okay. And I went back and I told him, I said, I've known this person, blah, blah, blah. If it don't work, I understand that, but I've known this person. And then she came over and they actually met her. And that's how that went down. And we went off to Fort Drum, New York.
Wow, that is so awesome. So she became the blessing that basically shows you that you did not have to do things alone. That's okay.
Look at that. Edit that out.
No, we keeping it. It's funny. We keep the bloopers. We just gonna put that at the end.
Okay.
Speaking of blessings, now we know you are super blessed because you no longer Poe. You driving a Tessie. We can see it.
Well, so okay, we sticking on the theme of blessings, right? I would still be driving my Honda Accord, but my first year at T Jaglix, not even the first year, my first 4 months at T Jaglix, it's funny because I really truly be thinking about how blessed I am. Like, I don't take that lightly.
Amen.
I used to drive motorcycles, right? And I said I used to because I sold mine. And one day it was a beautiful day. I was going to ride my bike that day. And my Sena headset, which is the headset where you can communicate and you can listen to music, was dead. So I was like, I ain't riding my motorcycle that morning. So I drive my Honda to work. And on the way back home, I don't know if anybody knows it, but it's always traffic in Charlottesville. So on that exit, 29. that exit where you used to go to the right for Richmond, but now it's like a stoplight there.
Right.
And I was stopped because it's normally standstill traffic, and somebody came off that little exit point in a old school steel truck, beautiful truck, and tore my whole rear end up to where I ain't even had no back seat.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm so serious. So I had to go to chiropractic and everything. It was terrible.
Oh my goodness.
And that was the day I was supposed to be riding my bike. And
oh Jesus.
I never rode my bike again. I sold it next 2 weeks. And then when I was in the rental for probably about a month, I was really thinking about just buying me another Honda Accord because we was a Honda family at that point. Kim had a Honda Pilot, I had a Honda Accord, and I had a Honda motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, this is a long drive. I need to get something that's fuel efficient. So I was looking at hybrid Accords. And then I was like, if I'm going to pay for the hybrid Accord, I might as well just get a full electric vehicle.
Yeah.
And I ain't really know nothing about Tesla. And then I started looking up electric vehicles, and then I saw Tesla, and then I saw the delivery date just happened to be, because, you know, nowadays delivery date, people ain't getting them for 10 to 11 months.
I know.
Just happened to be within the next 30 days. And I was like, I'm going to get me a Tesla.
Right.
And that's how that happened. So I will say with the fact that during the time I've been at T-Jack Licks, they've run out of gas, that pipeline issue,
I remember that. Yeah.
and now that it's over $5, that was another blessing too, just in
Wow.
disguise, because driving an hour each way,
Right.
it's been killing me.
It would have. Wow. I mean, I drive to the metro station and just get on the train because A, I don't feel like paying all that money to drive to the Pentagon every day. And B, if I do get on and try to avoid the traffic, it costs me $16 in the easy pass lane. I'm not about to do that. So I totally feel you on that.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm proud of you and I'm happy that you are receiving blessings because you are a blessing to others. And we are going to talk about that as well. You are the founder of a nonprofit organization called You Can Too Inc. Talk to us about that a little bit.
All right, so You Can Too Inc. Came up. I was in Missouri at the time that I was really, really thinking about it. And me and my wife was having a deep conversation. It's weird what the conversation was about, but it was after Nipsey died, right?
Yeah.
And we were just talking about how it don't matter what you got in this world, life's still short. It don't matter if you got a lot, you got a little, you got to do things now if you want to. And I was like, I'm tired of actually just talking about things that need to be done or talking about things I didn't like and not actually doing something.
Mhm.
And I was like, what can I do? So we sitting there and talking, and I'm like, you know what? I think I need to start me an organization to where I can actually give back directly, so that I could actually feel as if I'm giving to the right people. And originally it was gonna be something I remember because I threw it out. I said, brother to brother, and she was like, that's whack. That's how my wife is. She was like, that's whack. And I was like, all right. So we sitting there brainstorming. And then I came up with You Can Too. And she was like, yeah. So it's like we was in the studio. You know how they be collaborating in the
Yeah.
studio? But don't save this in case we get divorced. I don't want her to get no money off of it. No. So we did the
That's
we
funny.
did the we did the registry search on that. And it was like, nah, somebody actually got specifically You Can Too. And I was like, you know what? I ain't moving off of it though. And then that's why I was like, hey, just add ink on that thing. And then
Right.
that's what we did. And from 2019 until now, uh, the next biggest step I took was because in a nonprofit, you got to have a board.
Right.
The next biggest step, I wanted to make sure I included people who we were actually going to be affecting as board members. So, like the two members that are board members with me are also two extraordinary individuals, Black men, Army veterans, great fathers, great husbands. That I was like, they understand some things that we possibly go through, and it's going to be authentic. So that's when I pitched it to them, and it actually took a while, which was a good thing because I was like, they're not just okay. And
Exactly.
then when I fine tuned, and I was like, look, this the 5-year plan because we got a 5-year, a 10-year, and a 15-year plan. And they're like, yeah, we for it, and that's how we started moving forward. And every month we have a meeting to where we make sure we stay on the glide path of what we're trying to do. And then sometimes we just have meetings to actually talk about what we're doing as far as professional development individually, which is also invaluable. So that's how You Can Too comes out. It's focused on really providing under is I don't even like to say the word underprivileged because sometimes it could be seen as negative stigma. So instead I'll say providing people with possibility, and by what I mean by that is if you can see that somebody has gone through something and made it on the other side, or you see that somebody is in a position that you didn't think you could get to, you believe that it's possible, even though it might be improbable. So that's what You Can Too actually sets out to do. So
I love that. That's awesome. Hold on. This wind almost took my computer off the table.
I see it. I see it.
If it take me away, I don't want to go to Oz. Take me somewhere better than that. I'm good with Oz. Oh my goodness. So, what advice would you give someone who is struggling, right? Because I mean, a lot of us see blessings as more monetary, right? We see things that are um,
Tangible.
tangible. So what advice would you give to someone who doesn't realize the blessings that they have in their life?
I think the first thing you got to be is observant. You got to be a listener. You got to be like a student of life. And what I mean by that is it's a blessing just being able to walk, you know? And most people are like, well, everybody can walk, all this, everybody got this, which is true, but you need to actually be in tune with you. You got to find out who you are and understand what the blessing is to you. It's almost like success, right? Like success is different for different people. So I wouldn't necessarily say to a person, hey, well, these are your blessings, these are your blessings. No, you have to understand what is of value to you. Like you can't do none of this stuff. You can't drive these cars, buy these houses, live in these houses, buy these clothes if you don't have certain opportunities and certain blessings and doors open for you. So I would just make sure that the person who is hesitant to say that they're blessed or unsure about the blessings that they have, I would ask them to, sit back and look at what you do have and don't even think about what you do versus what you don't. Don't compare the two because it's normally the intangible things that allow you to actually move forward. Like, look, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without the relationships that we talked about before, that I've had. Like parenting relationships, if I wanted to compare and then just focus on the fact that parenting relationships, it wasn't always good, then I would not be understanding that. But with my wife and my kids and my brother and my sister, I have those relationships in which I can actually talk to people and they actually push me forward. So it's really about a perspective. Are you going to look at the good or are you going to just focus on the bad? Bad things going to happen every day, even if it's little small things. Somebody cut you off in traffic. Are you going to let that one instance, that one little pocket, whether it's 5 minutes in one day or five, I'm going to be even deeper. If it's 5 years in one lifetime, define whether you're having a good and blessed life? No, you shouldn't when you break it down like that. So just be more observant and open to, I don't like to use cliches, but really be open to seeing the glass not just one way. Don't just see it as is empty or half empty. See it like it's full and see what's actually not just that it's full, but what it's full with. So actually break those things down. Don't just think, okay, I'm blessed, I'm doing good. No, start breaking those things down and actually getting into your feelings, getting into what those emotions mean. I had a talk with Miss Bell Bailey before I left, and she was talking to me about, am I excited? And anybody who knows me knows I answer questions a little differently.
Right.
And I was like, no, I'm not excited because I wasn't. And she was like, so you're not happy? That was her response. I said, I didn't say I wasn't happy. I said I'm not excited.
Exactly.
And then I broke it down to her. I was like, yo, I really look at different emotions specific to how it really feels. So I felt joyous, but I didn't feel excited. Exactly. And I think if you start really getting into the details of life, there's no way you cannot say that you're blessed. Yeah. It don't matter what you're going through.
I love that. That is actually really good. I definitely feel blessed for sure. I don't care what I go through. If my days don't seem as good as, if today don't seem as good as yesterday, one thing I can say at the end of every single day, I am blessed. There were many blessings in that day for sure.
I believe it too, because you can actually see it emanating off people too. So even when I was young Staff Sergeant Hayes, and I came in contact with WO1, Marrisette, the interactions, even though you were sending me over to get awards and all this stuff that I didn't want to do, but the interactions were always, they were genuine, they were real, and you don't find that in people all the time. So I commend you on that. I appreciate that. Being the same, but of course people get better and become better, but by being the same, what I mean by that is being authentic.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I definitely pride myself of being an authentic person. It's definitely hard in the military, but I was raised that way, and that's one thing that I always said that I would never change about myself. I would always improve, but I will never change the fact that I am an authentic person, because for me, I feel like that allows me to help people, and one of my passions, if not my greatest passion in life is to help people. And if, not everyone is bold enough or confident enough or brave enough to be their authentic selves. And so that part of me, I ain't changing. That's why.
Don't.
Just wait until these shackles are removed off of me on 1 September 2023.
See, that's when I should be disconnected. I got a long ways. I don't want to look. Y'all see the tunnel already and the finish line. I got a long ways. I'm still running.
I'm telling you, but you're gonna be there, and I can't wait to see it, because you're already in the conversation where you're on the list of people who are admired because you are candid, you are honest, and you are very well respected. So I will tell you,
and that's a blessing. And that's a blessing, like, because just being real, that's a blessing, just being blessed to be with good leadership, because there's been some times where sometimes my candor has not fell on good ears.
Yeah.
And people
and
have
I'm sure
not
it's the same for me. I'm sure it's the same for me. They don't tell me, but I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it is all the time, probably, but they don't let me know. So, okay. So I'm gonna ask you a random question. And we know the world, it's never been perfect, and it's likely never going to be anywhere near it. But if you had the power, not, that I'm asking you to play God, but if you had the power, if God said, I'm going to give you a blessing, and I'm going to allow you to bless my world with one thing, what would you do? What would you bless the world with if you had the power?
Oh man, that is a surprise question. So right now, in these times that we in, of course, it's a lot of talk about equity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what people are truly missing when they push back or when they push too forward with it is first thinking about making sure everyone has a certain level of compassion.
Yes.
And I think you remember back in the day, I'm gonna equate it to one of the cartoons I used to watch, Captain Planet.
Oh, Captain Planet, peas are here.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. And it was earth, wind, water,
Yep.
fire, and then the last one was heart. And everybody when you were young was like, that's the wackiest. Why he ain't got one of the elements? But then I thought about it and I'm like, if we had more caring people than we had look, somebody calling me. If we had more caring people, then we would have more open minds. And I would just bless us with, or I would just ask that God blesses everybody with being caring. Because with that comes open-mindedness, with that comes empathy, with that comes understanding. And that is, we're always going to be different. It don't matter if we turn into the same color tomorrow. Somebody gonna have different hair length. Somebody gonna be taller, shorter. People are always gonna be different. And if we can get to a space to where people all are okay with that and have a certain level of empathy because they care, then we can actually work together for some equitable solutions. Until then, it's gonna be a battle. And the reason being is because as hard as it is to say, I had a conversation with somebody about, a couple people about this. And I said, you know what? I was actually being real with myself when I think about the people who are against certain equities. And I was like, so I think it's because they fear that then they're going to lose out. And then their next generation may lose out. So I asked straight out, I was like, I looked in the mirror one day and I said, I was talking to this person and explaining to them, if I knew that my kids' and my other kids would have privilege, would I be willing to give it up? And even I said, I don't think so. And that's where when I say caring, I mean myself too, on a level of where it's okay if the next person, it's their turn completely, and be okay with that. So if we were all blessed with caring about one another, it'll definitely be a better place.
Oh, I definitely agree. Yep. Have some compassion for everybody, people. Everybody is struggling. I had an
Yes.
interview a little bit earlier, and someone said, you know, you can learn from anybody no matter who they are. Literally, no matter who they are. No one is
Mhm.
invisible. There is something to be learned from every single person on this earth. And I absolutely agree with that. And I totally agree with you as well. We could be better people. We would get along better. We would have more love. We would have less hate. We would have less violence if we learn to be a more compassionate people. It all starts with
Yes.
compassion. And I thank you
Yes.
so much. Before we go, please let us know how we can read more about or even contribute to the You Can Too Inc. movement.
All right. So the best way is so we have a website. It's youcantoinc.org. So it's spelled out. Go there. You see everything we got going on. We got an IG page you can click on there as well. Um, you can always reach out directly. It has my email on that web page. That's the best place to go. I know everybody's not on IG and all of those good things, but you know, these youth, we got to make sure we got an IG. So
That's
the IG is YC2 underscore Inc. So if you go there, you follow that, you'll see what we're doing as well. Major things about to start happening because I'm back home too. So it really means a lot to me to affect this specific community. Um, so be on the lookout for things we're going to be doing in Wake County, North Carolina, and then also Cumberland County, North Carolina as well. So more to follow there. You can, for every donor, every person who donates at least $25, we make sure we send them a complimentary You Can Too Inc. shirt. I would have wore one today, but you see all those you see the boxes, even though it's
We know you
blurry.
blurred them, but I can tell.
I don't know where my stuff at, but we make sure we do that. It's different methods you can use directly on the website. You can PayPal, you can send a check. We've received that. All of those things. The biggest thing that we do that other nonprofits don't do is every year, at least once a year, the three of us record our actual financial meeting. And why that's important is so you know what we actually are aspiring to do, but you know what we actually are doing. So you know exactly what we got in our accounts. You know exactly what we're using it for, exactly what we're projecting out. So you're really a part of it, and anybody can join those or look at the recording whenever we post it back on the website. Once again, that website is youcantoinc.org.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Well, we're definitely going to put all the information for all of your platforms at the end of the interview. We are definitely going to put the information for how to donate and get those t-shirts. I'm definitely going to cop mine, and please keep I Do Affirm in your, you know, future endeavors, because I would love to just drive my little 3.5 hours down there to North Carolina and, you know, do some things with you and your kids. So thank you so much for talking to me, Mike, and for being an inspiration to me and to everyone else. And just keep doing what you're doing, because I see you, we see you. And like I said, you're in the conversations. Everybody is talking about you, young and old. we see what you're doing, and we are very impressed. Oh,
I
and
appreciate that.
before we leave, go ahead and throw out Kim's IG, because Kim is creating some awesome things on her Instagram as well. I'll be watching her.
So so Kim's IG is spelled a little funny. It's Kimmy Thang. So it's KIMMYTHANGZ.
Yes.
And yeah, she got some things, some ideas that she gonna be really truly coming up with now that she's back down here. So more to follow on that as well.
Awesome. Okay. Can't forget to plug your better
Oh
half.
nah, I can't.
No. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mike. Y'all have a good day, and we can't wait till y'all get comfortable in y'all new house. And thanks for everything.
All right, I appreciate it.
Bye, for sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to another I Do Affirm Affirmation Conversation. I know you enjoyed talking to Mike. And by now, let me tell you, he has moved into his home. That's the life of a military soldier. I'm telling you, always moving, packing and moving, packing and moving. Oh, well, Mike and I want to let you all know that no matter what you're going through in life, you don't have to do it alone. Continue to always keep your faith. The blessings will come. As Mike would say, which I love because I never heard it before,
Sometimes those hurdles turn into springboards. As he would say from his You Can Too Inc. side, it may be improbable, but it is not impossible. And I truly believe that. And if you believe that, you will achieve that. Nothing is impossible. Keep your faith, believe, and you will achieve. That's what I say. And put all your everything into everything you do. Honestly, if it's something that you really want out of life, you really have to keep the faith. But you can't just have faith without action. Faith without deeds is nothing. You really have to put your everything into everything you do these days. Not all of us are lucky for things to just be handed to us. We got to work for what we want. If it's in your faith to pray about it, pray about it. It'll come to you. Maybe not at the magnitude that you want, as fast as you want. You may not even see it when it comes to you, but it's going to come. Be blessed. Stay safe out there, y'all. You got this.